Hi, everyone. We'll get started shortly. Hope everyone's nice and cool at home.
And we'll give it a couple more minutes.
We'll give it another minute or two. There's people here, so I don't want to take up too much of their time.
Right, right.
Okay, Andrew, do you want to get started?
Yeah, let's begin for everybody. Be respectful of their time. It is being recorded, so you'll be able to share this out or use it back for reference as needed. If for those that have joined us today, welcome. Thank you. We know it's a hot day and a lot going on at the end of the school year, and I'm sure we're going to have another refresher if there's any news and updates come one of the conference days in September and moving forward into the 25-26 school year. But this is basically ParentSquare will be kind of taking over a good portion of our website with smart sites. And we'll talk a little bit about that and hopefully answer any questions that anybody has. And then it's going to be a great communication tool. So I know a lot of teachers use different platforms to communicate with parents and sometimes students throughout the school year. But ParentSquare is going to give you the opportunity to directly use this as your kind of one-stop shop. So you won't have to use Blooms, right? I know some people use Blooms, Remind, ClassDojo, any of those that you've been using. ParentSquare is kind of going to be like a one-stop shop that'll allow you to communicate effectively and safely directly through their app or the website, whatever you decide. And that way you'll be able to communicate with the parents and not have to worry about getting them to sign up to anything else. The district is making it a conscious effort to make sure that the parents do get onto this, just like they did with Infinite Campus, and we'll do the same for our older kids, as well, and see if they can do that as well. So I think most of the people are here, Dan. So I think we can keep moving on.
All right, great. So we'll kind of go through a quick little presentation first. We'll stop for questions. We'll show you some things. Of course, everything's not live yet for all the teachers in ParentSquare,
Right.
so you're not going to see your classes or groups, but we're able to give you a good overview of how it's going to work. So the one thing that we'll go over, we'll just look at activation and login, getting your account settings, and the ways to communicate in ParentSquare. So the one thing to realize is as we're moving over to ParentSquare for all of our district and school websites, your view of the website is going to be very different from what you're used to. So you will no longer have a housed website on the district page. They do not exist in ParentSquare. So therefore, it will not really be necessary for you to create a website on ParentSquare. For those of you that are using Google Sites and you'd like to continue using your Google site, it's very easy to link it to all of your groups. For those of you that have not migrated over to Google Sites, it's a fairly simple process to copy your existing website. I think we have about 4 more days for that, and put it into a Google site. So I know I posted some videos in the Google Classroom already, but we'll go over some of those things. So we'll go over the activation and login, ways to communicate, just to get you started so it doesn't seem like overwhelming.
Right.
Andrew and I have heard a lot of buzz around the buildings where people are like, I can't handle anything else. Like, honestly, like, this is not something you should be stressing about whatsoever. The move over will be pretty smooth, and your communication is pretty straightforward and easy.
Yeah. So Dan, before you go into the next thing, the one thing is I know a lot of people have migrated to Google Sites a couple years ago, and we will, as long as it's been published on our current web page, the published settings are correctly for all of your documents and everything. It'll be quite easy to just post that link once it's set up into ParentSquare. You're not going to see your classes and everything set up until scheduling is done over the summer, and it'll be closer to September. So don't worry if you're seeing things and you're doing something over the summer. You're not going to be able to see all those things until everything is populated with the administration and the guidance departments at the secondary levels. Once they get that over, then you'll be able to see everything, and everything will kind of just quickly go over. The main reason why, and we've had a lot of discussions with Darren and others, why we're not doing sites like we have in the past, is there's a lot of spamming going on. So the more information that you put out there, the more risk we look for security and data breaches. So we're trying to make sure we're on the forefront of cybersecurity and ensuring that student and teacher and staff data is all protected.
And as Andrew has mentioned before in his intro, we really have one central tool now for communication. So we won't need all those different Blackboard messaging systems, the text messaging systems. If you wanted to communicate through all your various things, everything will be housed through ParentSquare. And it does offer a lot of flexibility. So we have that one central tool. It does allow for quick translations of everything that you put in there. And really, you don't have to provide the translations that will go out there. So every user is going to be able to go to their settings and select the language of their choice. So the communications that you put out are going to be translated on the user end. So they will go out. And the same thing would go forward with any two-way communication that's going back and forth. So it's accessible through the web, and it's also accessible through the ParentSquare app for both iPhones and Android and all the different platforms. So as we go forward, really we'll be using this for communication tools, and there's multiple ways that you can communicate. You can communicate through group posts. You can communicate through direct messaging. You can communicate through group messaging. And also, depending on the user and for yourself, they're going to decide on how they receive your messages, whether they get them immediately when you send them out, or they'll get a digest at the end of the day of all the messages and communication that's either coming from the classes, that's coming from the school, or coming from the district. Certain things will automatically be pushed out. So if it's anything like early dismissals or any of those emergency things, they override everything, gets pushed out through the app and through text.
Dan, let me just interject. So the one thing that when we talk about messages, depending upon the context of your message, if you're communicating via email to discuss certain things, that's fine. But ParentSquare messages do not expire and delete as long as the user is active. So, and it's usually within a year, and your class is only for a year anyway. So it shouldn't be a problem. So if you do need to communicate someone quickly and the parents they're not getting your emails or whichever, but they have ParentSquare, know that there's a record of your conversation with the parents as well.
So I did post this link to the slide deck in the Google Classroom. Darren had sent out an email probably about a month or two ago about going in and hitting the link and registering your account. If you haven't done that, you can probably search your email for that again, or find the slide deck that I posted in the Google Classroom. But you'll register your account with Wappingers. And when you do that, you're just going to sign in with your Google account. So you don't need to create anything new. You'll sign in with your Google account. I will put some other things forward when you sign in, and like if you're a parent in the district, or you're a ParentSquare in another district, it will ask you to combine your accounts, which is, I would suggest combining your accounts. It's very easy to switch between the two, not like we do with Infinite Campus or any of the other apps that are out there. The links are there. So we can go over, and I'll probably jump out to the website itself as I start moving forward, and go over the website overview. So if you sign into ParentSquare already, you'll probably just see that you're part of the school building that you're in, and you'll see all the posts and notifications for your school building. So there's 3 areas. Right in the middle is your main news feed. So this is where you'll see the collection of posts that are pushed out by maybe some of your administrators, things that are going on in the building, things that are going on in the district. It all shows up in a news feed over here. You have your navigation to look at what areas you like to do, make posts, messages, any alerts, and then you move around through here. And then this is where you can toggle between some of your classes. So before I jump out to the live website, I think we should just pause to see if anyone has any questions so far.
Silly question, but to get to ParentSquare, is that an app that's like in Wappingers, on the Wappingers page? You just go to, no.
Not yet, Amy. It's not there. It's not there yet. I think because we're transferring everything to a brand new website, I think eventually they will link to it on the staff and the parents page, but they weren't going to do that now when they're just they're starting to transfer everything over as it is now, but it will be there. And then if you just Google ParentSquare, you sign in with Google, you'll be all set. If you want the app, it's the same thing. You sign in with Google and you'll be all set using your district credentials.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions? All right. I think we're good, Dan.
Okay, so I'm logged into my ParentSquare account, and we can kind of see the overview here. So for me, it's going to look a little bit different, what it says on top. So you see here, I'm part of the district office group. So this would be like my school. And this is where I would see all of my feed coming in right over here. So this is where I would get updates. Like if I was to look at the Wappingers website now and they post updates to it, instead I would be logging into ParentSquare, and any updates and everything that would be pushing out would come into my main news feed that's right here in the middle. So you can see these are all the things that you may have received through text and email already. When you're in ParentSquare, it shows up in your news feed. So this would be my main feed. Again, mine says district office, but yours might say, Royce Ketchum, John Jay, Myers Corners, whatever building it is. You'll see it over here. And this is on my navigation bar, and this is posts right here. Few things that we can look at is as we start navigating and using ParentSquare. When you come up to here, you're going to see my school, classes, and groups. So when you click on it, I guess I have to be on the website. So let me switch my screen. So when I go over and click on my school, classes, and groups, this is where you're going to see all of your different classes. So once the schedules are set for next year and everything's put into Infinite Campus and synced over with ParentSquare, you're going to see all of your classes listed over here, along with any other things that you're a part of. So if any of your clubs, any of your sports, anything.
Departments, right?
Departments, any group that you're added to, you'll see it right over here. And that's how you can start switching around to look at your different classes. So as I go in, I'll just go into a group that I created earlier, and this is called WCSD PD Specialist. So you can picture this as it would be your class. So when, where the big thing that I think we got to transition to is, when parents wanted to communicate with you in the past, they would probably be going to your district website, whether it was on the Blackboard site or the Google site linked to it, and they'd find your contact information and email you, or they'd message you through Infinite Campus, whatever your communication is to. Now you can communicate right through here. So I know there's some people that joined a little bit later. I will just reiterate, you will not have a website like you had on the last platform. So that platform hosted teacher web pages. There's no longer hosted teacher web pages. So you're not going to be required to create, right, Andrew? Required to create a web page on ParentSquare.
That is my understanding, yes.
So before I go any further, let me just see if anyone has any questions, because I think I said quite a bit.
All
right. So let's say that I'm in here with my class and I want to just give a welcome message like I would previously if I wanted to, if I already have a Google site, or I want to take my existing website, move to a Google site, and still continue using off of that. That's where I would post the information in ParentSquare. So I would come right into the test, my group over here, and I can start by clicking a new post. Once I click on that, a window is going to open up, and it's going to see two here. If I click on this, I can set up the same post for all of my different classes at one time, just by choosing them here. Or I can do them one class at a time. So I can go in, I can give a subject, give a little subject or my content, my information, and I can go in just like any text window in and start putting in a welcome message, my contact information. If I wanted to put a link somewhere, I can insert a link. So that's where you can put in a link to your existing website that's there. I can do whatever I want to put into this welcome message. I can put in my email address if you'd like to contact me through email. I can also put a link to my my syllabus, whatever you'd like to include into that welcoming message, you can put it right there. So when parents go into your classes through ParentSquare, they go to the class, first thing they're going to see in their feed is your welcome message.
And that's the key. I think, a lot of people with their websites, they have a wealth of information on there, and they're like, oh, visit the website. So your subject would be, I'm going to pick on my good old buddy Lance here, Mr. Johnson's website. And, we'll just link it, and then they can see it forever for the entire year. So once you put it in through once, it's there. You can also schedule these posts to go out at a certain time. So there's a lot of features that you can do it.
And I just kind of want to go through. So, there's all the different things that we're responsible for. So, we have to maintain and post our assignments and homework and everything like that. Well, with Infinite Campus, especially for our secondary teachers out there, everything is transparent right now, right? So every time you sync, every time you post your assignments and put it in Infinite Campus, it's all transparent right there. So you don't need to go in and put separate assignments up on your ParentSquare group communication tool as part of like, oh, I need to keep all my assignments out there, because everything is, posted either through your Google Classroom and then linked through your Infinite Campus. Does that make sense? And then for elementary teachers, I know a lot of you will have I've seen a lot in the classes, especially with my son, that like homework is like kind of put out, people have like a Google Doc or calendar, you can just link that right to your initial post or however you want to put it out there, and go from there. So you can give your message. You can look at a translation for it. Remember, some people came in late too. Everything you put in there will automatically be translated into the user's choice of language. So that's something that's there. So I can put a post in here, or if I go to Studio Editor, it gives me newsletter templates, all these different templates that I can use. And essentially that's just like a Google slide deck that you can put in. But once I make my post, I'm not going to make this I'll just leave it. Lance, you want to answer that, Andrew?
Sure, as you're typing. So, Lance, this is more of a communication tool for parents and the students and families. Meanwhile, the parents can't get on the Google Classroom, right? They're unless they log in as their kid, right? The Google Classroom is where you're going to be posting your assignments and syncing your grades for that full transparency component. Now that there's no more progress reports, this is more of a communication tool for you to be able to communicate to your students. I mean, you can still use Google Classroom to communicate with your students, but specifically families and parents, this is the route that you're going to be able to go. So it's basically replacing Blackboard, and this is where you're going to post your link, like Dan was saying, to your website, because you're not going to be, you're not going to have a website linked on for in your example, Ketchum's webpage. So it's just going to be whatever you're going to put Mr. Johnson's website, and then they can go to this and see anything that they need to see. Keep going. I don't think there's any other questions.
Well, you see right here on my screen, because someone just asked, will we see who's on ParentSquare or not? So we'll see who's on here right on the right side of my notifications. So you'll be able to see who's on ParentSquare and who's not. So as we go through here, I can, I lost my web page. There we go. So I can go ahead, I can create my post. I do have the option of sending it to recipients at their preferred time. So that's, as I mentioned earlier, if I need to send something instantly, that would override their settings and make a push notification and a text to them immediately. And then I can do a do not notify if I only wanted to post something on my page, and it would be upon them to look at it. So I can go ahead, post now. I can also schedule. I can save it as a draft, and I can preview. So once I go ahead and I'm set, I can go ahead and hit post. I'll see the number of people that it'll be going out to, and I can just hit post now.
Let me just interject, Dan. So what Dan was saying is when it says instantly or digest, as parents and families sign up, they can either get notified instantaneously about something that you post in ParentSquare, or they get a digest, which means they kind of, if you post multiple times a day or however it works, they're going to get it in one concise message at their preferred time. So it's almost like a summary, and they get everything at once, or they'll get all the notifications individually.
And then once it's posted over here, you'll see there's opportunities for comments and replies. And this is how the communication will go out from here. So if I go ahead and close this window, we're going to see that post right now at the top of my class feed. And maybe this is where I want all my contact information and anything I'd want to link to my website. I can just go over here. Where is it? I know I was on it earlier, but I can go ahead and pin that right to the, trying to remember where it was, but I know I can just pin that right to the top of my classroom feed, so it'll automatically stay right there where it is. Oh, I'm in the wrong group. Let me go here to my class. There you go. So once I'm in my class, I can hit pin post, and that will stay at the top of my feed. So every time a parent clicks on that link for your class, that post will be right there at the top, which would kind of be just like your district webpage, but that you don't have to maintain and put up there like all of your assignments and everything like we said before. So any questions? All right, so I just I'll go through a few other things that'll get us started again. When we look at the summer and getting out there in the fall, we'll have more that's that's in there. But a few things that's really cool too is as you're going in and you're creating posts for your communication tool, you'll notice on the left-hand side of my screen, I have some different options that I can add on. So we're constantly sending out maybe, you know, different forms to parents or different things for field trips or, you know, requesting things for like a picnic or everything. And we're probably dealing with multiple Google Forms or everything. Well, that's all embedded into your ParentSquare posts. So if you need forms or permissions for anything, you can use that add-on and add permission slips for your students. You can put forms in there. If you're requesting volunteers for an event, you have all these different add-ons that you can put in there as part of your communication tool. So that does have an awesome feature to it as well. Other things too that will be available to you is when you have your groups, you're going to be able to, let me come back to my home screen. So that was, I'm sorry, I got a little ahead of me. That was our posts. Now you do have the ability to message people. So this would be if you wanted to message your class to the parents. You could also search for the names here, and you can send messages just like you would in an email to students or parents, and they'll receive that through ParentSquare. So I can send a direct message, and that's just like an email. So if Andrew is the parent of one of my students and I wanted to send a message just to Andrew, I can type in the name of the student and put it right there. If I wanted to do a group conversation, maybe there's a group of parents that are volunteering for something and I just need to communicate with them and not everyone. I don't need to send a post. I can create a group conversation just like CC's in an email, and then that allows the respondents to see the messages going back and forth.
To answer your question, Audrey, so it's not solely the administrative function, but it depends upon the permissions about who can create and manage groups.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, whether it's classes, teams, or other project-based activity, like I don't know what permissions are given to who. That would be a help desk question to confirm from there. So it is possible, but I don't know. It's based on the back end permissions.
What was the question, Andrew? I missed it.
Just that they could create different groups themselves, or is it just an administrative function?
They're going to, I'm not sure, but I know it does have the ability to create groups on your own. So if you had a club, an extra homework thing, whatever, you'll be able to go in and create your own. I know the capability is there. So, you know, Lance has you know, I love, you know, biology club or whatever it is. And he has these kids that are in there. He can, from different classes or that he doesn't have, he can create the group for that. And what's really neat is as you go into your groups, I know I'm assuming teachers are going to have this capability. I'm not for sure. But when I create a new group, I can create a static group where members I add, or they can self-enroll into it, or an auto-update group, which I don't think will be using too much on your end. But this static group, which is really neat here. So if this was my club or whatever it is, I can give it a display name. I can give it a description. I can choose what category it goes into, make it public or private. You'd most likely want to make it private. You can add another, like if you have another club advisor or whatever, you can add them in. And then
Yeah, I'm not sure. Basically, it's underneath the admin tab at the top. So I don't know. That's a question we got to figure out.
but what's neat though is you can add members by just selecting the students and typing their names. You can add things. You can do a CSV file. What would probably be easiest is you can just generate a link and share that link with whoever's joining your group, or give a QR code, and then you'll be able to have your groups in there. So that's going to, like, if you have that communication tool for groups that are outside of your classes, this is a nice thing if it's just for communication and posting, where you don't have to create like yet another Google Classroom for another group or anything. Like, you might still want to create the Google Classroom, but this is another way that we'll be able to manage.
Are there any other questions at this moment? I don't think so. Do you want to go to Dan? I think next was account settings.
Right. So you will. So the one thing I will say here before I go to account settings. So if you have other ParentSquare accounts as a parent, it is good to merge them. So you can see here, I have my work account here, and then I have my parent account that's right here. So I'm easily able to switch between the two accounts. So if you sign up and like, oh, my kid goes to Arlington and they have ParentSquare, and then when you sign in and do all the stuff and it asks if you want to merge accounts, go ahead and do it. It's not going to cause any hiccups or anything like that. So your account settings, you'll find up here on the right. You can click on it and hit my account. And you can upload a profile picture. All of this that you'll see here, this information, this is all hidden for now. No one has access to this. We're not putting directories on the web page yet because there's a lot of cleaning up that has to be done with our files through HR if we're ever going to do that. And then no one ever sees your phone number or anything like that. So this is all not public. Anything you put here, my picture will be there, but all this information over here is not there. You can go in on your account and you have some different things. If you come over to edit, you can edit your picture. You can edit. We can't edit this. This is all done by the district. If you want to give an about you, and that's for your edit account over here. You can choose your security, which it shows all the places that you're logged in. Be like, oh no, I'm logged in. I left this on my computer at work. I left it on. Oh, I can go ahead and sign out of it. So it just shows you where you're logged into ParentSquare. So I'm on my computer, I'm on my phone, and I'm on my laptop. I can go in roles and permissions. This is just talking about the different groups that I'm a part of, and then myself as a parent. This is where you can set your notification settings. And this is where I'd like urgent alerts. So I can select, for my urgent things, do I want all emails and phones and have that? Yeah, I want all those settings over there. And then I can choose from the different groups that I'm part of how I want to receive those communications. So, if this is my school, be like, I have it on instant for my app, so I get an instant notification through my phone. But anything that's posted in my school, I get at the end of the day via my email. So you can go ahead and adjust your settings right through here. And this is the same thing parents will do as well. And this is where parents will find the language settings. So this setting will apply to all post notifications from all schools. So when you make those posts and everything to your classroom, if a parent is a non-English speaker and they put in any of the languages, your posts are going to be translated into the language without you having to do any translations on your own. And then the last is if you wanted to set your office hours. This is let people know when the best time to reach. We don't have a virtual phone, but for any direct messaging. And you can also turn off office hours if you want. It's not like it's just saying, hey, I'm available for communication between these hours. That's basically all that is. All right. Any questions?
I've been monitoring the chat. There's been nothing, nothing recently besides, what we've already addressed. We went over the ways to communicate in ParentSquare between posts for the whole class or whole group, and obviously direct messages. You went over the post, the studio editor. There's not much else right now that they can see. You can definitely play around with this components without signing in with you sign into Google, and then you can definitely play around and kind of set up your profile or whatever you would like to, and go from there.
The other thing, if we can go over, if anyone is still using that, is still housing a web page on the old, well, soon to be old, the outgoing Blackboard web pages. These are not going to exist after the 28th. So everything that you've put into this is no longer going to be accessible. If you're fine with it going away, you can let it go away and not worry about it. Again, but if there's things like, I know I have Lance here, and we know what would happen to Mr. Manzo if he lost the homepage to his website. It would be very traumatic for all people involved. And like Mr. Manzo and maybe a lot of you others, you might have invested a ton of time into building this website with all of your different links, and you teach off of it. There's really no need to panic. If you look over here, I was able to take that SchoolWires webpage and bring it over into Google Sites with all of the links still available to work. You're not losing anything. I'm just going to tell you, if I just go over and start in Google Sites and just create a blank Google site, I'll give it a name. And all I have to do, make sure you take notes on this. This is very challenging. Is take whatever on my webpage and copy it. It doesn't take all the pictures, but it'll take the text, copy it, go to my Google site. Actually, let me just show you. All I did was go not to the edit version, but just my site that's linked from my webpage. Highlight what I want to copy. Go ahead and copy it. Come to my new Google site. Open up a text box and paste it in. Once I've done that, I can clean it up a little bit, but all my information is there. And then you'll see all the links that I've curated over time. The links are right there. So I can just do a straight copy and paste right into a Google site. Go ahead when I'm all set and publish the Google site. Make sure we manage it so anyone with the link, the public, can view the site. And once I've done that, I can put that link that I have over here so I can just copy that link to my webpage, head right back over to my ParentSquare. Here's my new class. Here's the class I did earlier. Right here was that post I put up earlier. I'll just go ahead and edit it. and then I can go ahead and put in that link.
The one thing I'll add is Dan is doing that. This is only going to work though for the next few days. So if there are any colleagues, that are doing it, because once it's gone and it's turned off, it's gone. So then you would have to start from scratch. So if anybody has not switched over to Google Sites and just wants the easy copy and paste component, now is the time to do it before we start pretty much July, as Darren has mentioned in his emails.
So if you already have the existing Google site, you can link it just like I did over here. If you need to move yourself over, you can copy and paste it. Now I have the link to my website. It will open up right in a new page, and then you'll have access right there. So hopefully this all made some sense to you. It's really, I don't think it's very overwhelming. I would say if, when everything sets forward, you can just go in, you'll find your classes, you'll find your things. You can give your welcome message, any links to whatever you'd like to put out there. And then to get your ParentSquare classes all set up. And that would be like, oh, okay, I'm set up just like I had a web page before. You're not going to be having to go in every day and post your homework assignments on there. Of course, if you wanted to, you could. That would be going out to parents every day in their digest. But you can always link whatever is right there. The real key to it is those communication aspects, which as you're in there, we'll start working with you a little more on that.
So I think that's pretty much a wrap up. If there's no more questions, I think we went over all of the different information of the possibilities with ParentSquare, and I'm sure we'll have some more trainings come in the fall, where to go over as you can see it once your classes are populated for the year. The communication component is big, as I know Darren had mentioned in his email to everybody. And again, the big thing is if anybody needs to transfer a website, now is the time, because July 1, it's going to be gone. So it's lost forever. So there's no way to get it back. So if there's anything you want, even if you want to copy those things into a Google site, a Google Doc, whatever, at least that way you still have it if you don't want to launch a new Google site. But if you copy it onto a Google Doc now, and then you can kind of pick and choose and set your site up over the summer or for the fall, that's another option. So, but yeah, I think that's it. If there's no other questions, Dan, I think we can wrap up.
Yep.
All righty. Everybody stay cool, and we will see you soon.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.